All right, let's break down everything that was said live on ESPN's First Take, because what was revealed on the show completely shifts the conversation around the New York Knicks. So, let's get into what was discussed on air, because this situation is heating up fast. According to what was said on First Take, the Knicks are officially entering a difficult and potentially dangerous crossroads. Right now, they're stuck between making some critical extension decisions, particularly involving Mikal Bridges and Mitchell Robinson. And here's the real dilemma. If the Knicks hand Mikal Bridges a max contract, it might come at the cost of losing Mitchell Robinson. That's the internal conversation happening inside the organization, and it's sparking real tension behind the scenes. Now let's dive deeper into what was laid out during the segment. NBA insider Bobby Marks broke it all down, explaining that New York isn't just dealing with free agency or trade scenarios. The extension talks are just as vital, if not more so. Mikal Bridges, Mitchell Robinson, and Karl Anthony Towns are all up for potential extension. But the finances. The finances are tight. And here's the catch. If Bridges agrees to a max 4-year extension worth $156.1 million, the ripple effect could mean Mitchell Robinson is squeezed right out of New York. This isn't just speculation. The hard numbers back it up. As mentioned on First Take, the Knicks have been tiptoeing around the second tax apron for the last 2 seasons. Last year, they pulled the trigger on the Towns trade and brought in Gerson Yabusele using part of their taxpayer mid-level exception. These moves hard-capped them at the second apron line. So while they're still technically under that threshold for now, about $52 million under, thanks in large part to Jalen Brunson taking a $12 million pay cut, things could get tricky in 2026 and 2027. That's when maintaining their core 7 players could push them dangerously close to that ceiling. And here's where the real drama starts. According to Marks's report, Bridges' max contract would start at $88 million. If the Knicks go that route, it places major pressure on the front office to decide whether Mitchell Robinson still fits in their financial puzzle. Like Bridges, Robinson is eligible for a 4-year extension, but if a deal isn't finalized by June 30th, he becomes an unrestricted free agent. So this isn't just a long-term concern, it's an immediate deadline that's looming. It's also important to remember what the Knicks gave up to get Mikal Bridges in the first place. 5 first-round picks. That's not something you just toss away. When you give up that level of capital, it comes with a responsibility. Either that player becomes part of your long-term foundation, or he's flipped to land an even bigger star. But if neither happens, and Bridges walks or is lost for less than what you paid, it's a complete front office disaster. And right now, New York cannot afford to add another blemish to their track record. Now, let's swing back to Mitchell Robinson. If the Knicks do want to keep him, they have to acknowledge a few things. First, his health. Every season he's been in the league, Robinson has battled injuries. Some nights he's ready to go. Others, he's sidelined, either through load management or nagging physical setbacks. So if you commit long-term money to him, you're essentially betting on an injury-prone center to stay available over the course of multiple seasons. That's a big gamble, especially with how valuable durability is in today's league. So again, it comes down to priorities. If New York is going to commit to Towns and Bridges, that likely means Robinson becomes the odd man out. And let's be honest, Towns and Bridges are the safer bets here in terms of availability and long-term upside. That's what was echoed on First Take. But it's not an easy call because Mitchell Robinson did show his worth during the postseason. The Celtics had to game plan specifically for him. His defensive presence, rebounding, and rim protection made a real difference. And believe me, the Knicks front office took notice. So it's not like they're eager to cut ties with Robinson. If anything, they'd prefer to keep him. But in order to do that, a sacrifice might have to be made. And that sacrifice could very well be giving Mikal Bridges less than the max. That's the tough decision New York faces. Can they keep both players without breaking the financial structure? Maybe. But it likely requires Bridges to accept something under market value. And this is where things get even more complex. If the Knicks choose not to offer Bridges the full max, How does he respond? Does he take a slightly lower deal and stay committed to the team? Or does he bet on himself, play out the season, hit the market next summer, and go all in for a full max contract from someone else? That's the gamble. That's the big question on the table. So what was laid out on First Take is simple but loaded. The Knicks can retain both Bridges and Robinson, but only if Bridges is willing to leave some money on the table. If not, Mitchell Robinson might be the casualty in this cap space chess match. All right, let's pick up exactly where First Take left off, because this second half of the discussion just made the situation even more layered and a whole lot more interesting. So here's the strategy that was floated on the show. Instead of locking Mikal Bridges into a 4-year max, the Knicks could aim to get him to agree to a 3-year deal. Why? Because that move would give New York just enough financial flexibility to work something out with Mitchell Robinson as well. And according to reports cited on First Take, this might be the Knicks' best shot at keeping both guys. Let's dig into the numbers that were laid out. The Daily Knicks actually provided a very specific blueprint for how the front office could navigate this. Now, there's a clause in the CBA. If a player signs an extension that gives them more than a 20% raise from the final year of their current deal, that player can't be traded for 6 months. So, if the Knicks were to offer Bridges the full 4-year, $156.2 million max extension, and he signs it on or after August 6th, they'd be locked in with him through the entire 2025-26 season. No flexibility, no trades, but a 3-year, $86 million extension? That changes the whole equation. That would only bump Bridges' salary up by about 10%, from $24.9 million to $27.4 million in 2026 to 27, and it would keep him trade eligible from the moment he signs. That's huge. That deal would open up an extra $10 million or more under the projected second apron, and that room could go toward retaining Mitchell Robinson. Of course, none of this factors in a new deal for Robinson yet, so there's still work to be done. But here's the key takeaway that First Take emphasized. If the Knicks really want to keep this core together, this is their path forward. A 3-year deal for Bridges, creative cap work, and possibly a 2-year extension for Robinson. That's the formula. And let's be real. If you know how Leon Rose operates, you know what's coming. Unless a blockbuster move for Giannis Antetokounmpo becomes available, and that's the only name insiders are hearing right now, the Knicks' goal is to run it back with this squad. No one else is even close to worth gutting the roster for. If it's not Giannis, Leon Rose isn't interested in blowing it all up. Now, let's take a moment to understand why this topic is even dominating the Knicks conversation right now. Early in the offseason, when rumors started swirling, 2 names repeatedly came up in trade talks: Mitchell Robinson and Mikal Bridges. And now we know why. These looming contract decisions were always going to force the Knicks' hand. If they commit to one, they risk pushing the other out. That's the bottom line. It's not personal, it's financial. But here's where it gets even more telling. If the Knicks choose Robinson over Bridges, they're essentially telling Mikal, "You're not part of our long-term future." And once he becomes trade eligible, they'll likely explore every option to move him. That's the harsh business reality of the league. From what was discussed on First Take, the feeling is that Bridges may not accept any extension this offseason at all. Not because the Knicks won't offer one, but because Bridges might want to bet on himself, play out this next season, and hit the market with more leverage. He could push for a bigger max deal from either New York or another suitor next summer. It's a calculated risk on his part, but one that could pay off big if he performs at a higher level. As for Mitchell Robinson, it looks like the Knicks are planning to wait this one out. They've got until June 30th of next year to offer him an extension. So they're going to monitor his play, his health, his consistency, all of it. And quite honestly, that's probably the smartest move. With Robinson, you never really know what you're getting year to year. Some seasons he's dominant, other years he's sidelined. So letting the year play out before committing long-term, that's just good business. Now, if it were up to me, and this was echoed on First Take, I'd offer Bridges that 3-year deal. It's a compromise that works for both sides. But even then, I fully expect Mikal to reject. I think he's going to test the market, bet on himself, and try to raise his value even further. That's the gamble. If he plays worse next season, that extension number drops. If he plays better, the price tag goes up, and so does the pressure on the Knicks to match it. So here's the question that was left hanging in the air after that segment ended. What should the Knicks do? Do they max out Bridges now and likely say goodbye to Mitchell Robinson? Or do they hold firm, try to walk the line financially, and risk losing both if things don't go as planned? Let me know what you think. This situation isn't just tricky, it's pivotal. The Knicks are standing at a crossroads that could define the next 5 years of this franchise, and how they handle Bridges and Robinson will speak volumes about what kind of team they want to be. That's going to wrap it up for today. If you've been following this saga as closely as we have, make sure to drop your thoughts below. And of course, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Until next time, take care of yourself, your families, and each other. Peace.